Maybe you know structs from C or C++. It's the same concept for Solidity. It's a type that you can define yourself, which is a combination of other types. It's quite useful for making code more readable, as they bring, you've guessed it, structure to the code. Struct types can be used inside mappings and arrays, and they can themselves contain mappings and arrays. So here we have to find a reward campaign. And inside we added an address type, a uint256 type, and even a mapping type is possible. So how would you use such a struct here? So this reward campaign can now be used as its own type, basically. And if you remember from the default value chapter, any struct type will have initially all its values set to whatever the default value of the given type is. So here, basically, the owner is initially set to 0, the reward would be 0, and mapping, as always, is a hash table where all keys are initially mapped, in this case here, to false. And if we want to set values, we can just say my reward campaign dot attribute name equals value. So here my reward campaign dot owner equals my address, and my reward campaign dot reward equals reward. Alternatively, if the struct actually doesn't contain a mapping type, you can also initialize it with this syntax here. This is not possible if there's a mapping type. Don't ask me why. I guess they wanted to avoid the confusion of passing less variables to the struct initialization than the struct itself contains, because we cannot pass an empty mapping to the initialization. But in any case, if there is no mapping, this here is usually a nicer way to write it, in my opinion. So just the struct type, and then in brackets, you pass all the parameters. And then you can, of course, have a mapping that maps to the struct type. So this you can see here. We map to the reward campaign. So ID to campaign. But at least for now, you cannot use the struct as key for the mapping as seen here. So you cannot use reward campaign maps to uint256. This is currently not supported in Solidity.